Today, I'm super excited to introduce you to DocsAutomator eSign. DocsAutomator's native and legally compliant e-signing solution that merges DocsAutomator's powerful document automation features with the ability to get those automated documents also signed. Without further ado, let's get into it. I want to show you how DocsAutomator eSign works with one of our own use cases, which is our data processing agreement. My data source here is Airtable, but DocsAutomator eSign works for most data sources already and will work for any data source in the future. And let's look at the template because that's where we have the first changes. So this is how our data processing agreement looks like. And then at the bottom, we find the signing tags and the areas where signatures are added. There's a bit of additional syntax that is needed. And basically, the signing box itself is always added by eSign.signature_1 for if you have one person or one party that needs to sign, or _2, 3, 4, etc. if you have more parties that need to sign. On this DPA, we have two parties that need to sign. Party 1 is always the external party, and party 2 is always ourselves, basically. And we see how we set that up in a bit. We also have more tags here, which, for instance, is text _1. So _1 is always the first party, _2 the second party, and then name. So this is customizable, basically. In this case, we collect the name, and then we collect the date. And for the external party, we also have a checkbox to agree to our terms. On the right side, you find e-signature fields where you also get help in adding these 4 different types of tags that you can add by basically, so the signature box itself, and then you can collect any text input, you can collect the date, or you can add a checkbox to your documents that shall be signed. So that's how we set this up. On the left, the external party; on the right, we see that we sign ourselves in a bit. This is how you declare this in the template. Then let's go to the rest of the setup. This is basically where you define the base in Airtable. In our case, I have this DocsAutomator sales CRM that I use here. I need to define the table. If you're familiar with DocsAutomator, that's also how it used in the past. So it's just the same. I want to collect my DPAs, the data processing agreements, from the table called accounts. So I've selected accounts here as my table. The document name field, this is also how the signable documents will be called. So I've created a formula field for this called signing document name, where I just create a unique name for every signable document, basically DPA 2026 in the name of the customer in this case. And then the attachment field where the first generated document is stored. In this case, that's just called DPA. So then we have a couple of other variables in our document, also just like how DocsAutomator works for other document automation workflows, basically variables that you substitute with some fields in your table. So we have a date here, then the client name, the client address. So where do we select signatures? Here under additional actions after document generations, you find a new area called e-signatures. We can turn this on, and then we get to the e-signing options. The first one is the signing link delivery. You can either deliver this via email, or we can just get the links and then you can distribute them yourself. So I know this from my own experience, where sometimes you're happy for an external tool to send your emails on your behalf, but sometimes you also want to handle that yourself because you use your own email tool, you distribute links in any way, in any other way, basically. For our demo here, we're going to use send via email. And then we declare the signers. We have 2 signers here. We have those 2 signers because we define 2 signing tags in the template. And the signer 1, as I mentioned before, will be our external party. This is coming now from Airtable. As you can see, you can select fields from Airtable here, and the email is actually called email. So in my table here, I have a field called email, and this will always have the email that the document is sent to, or that the signing request is sent to. And then we can also specify the name here. I just used the name field for that's basically how that person, how that party will be addressed in the email. Signer 2 is in our case always static, so I can pull this from data in Airtable in this case, or I can just declare this statically. And then I just use my own email address. I will also put my name here. And this is always the same because I want to always sign as a party as well, but statically is always me on that document. Then we can declare the signing order. We find the signing order. Either we want to sign in parallel, so we don't care who signs first, or we can set this to sequential. In this case, party 1 would sign first, then party 2. And you basically define the order by the party order. I select parallel in this case. Then link expiration. How long do you want to give the parties time to sign? This is set to 30 per default. We can define the date format here. We keep this American for now. You can define how the emails should look like. There are default emails that are sent with default text defined by DocsAutomator, but you can also customize the invitation email, but then also the completion email of signing of those signing emails. You can upload your own logo. If you do that, your logo will be displayed on the left upper side on the signing page, which we will see in a bit. You can get notified on a webhook about status changes on the for the signing page. So if someone signed, or basically if all parties have signed, then you get notified on that webhook. In the case of Airtable, we can just say we want our signed PDF to be stored in a field, and that I've called signed DPA. So this is an attachment field in Airtable. And in the case of Airtable, it's very convenient because we can basically the signed DPA is just stored in that field. And then, of course, you could also listen to changes on that field. So if basically this field is added with the signed document, then you know all parties have signed. And then the last thing we can set up here is saving the field values that basically the input fields that we've added to our template, and where we collect the name and the checkbox and also the date, we can store this in Airtable as well. So we basically get that back as well, and can then store it so we have it as a reference. In this case, signer name, signer date, signer agreed, 3 fields that I've created in my Airtable table, and I can basically map them here from the fields that we've given. So this is signer date and then signer name. There we go. Then I click on save mappings. We should see an indicator here, 3 are mapped, and that's it. So now it's time to send a request. I want to generate documents just by clicking a simple button in a table. So I copy this link here, and then I go to Airtable, and here on the button I've already added that link that we've just copied. But of course, you just initiate document creations in any other way. So this is just basically a regular document creation, and then e-signing is attached to it and happens as well, basically. Then I click on send DPA request, and this will then basically initiate the signing process. We will see in a bit that the document gets generated here, but it still has the signing tags on it. The first version of that document is then also stored in the attachment field. And now we will see that the signing links are distributed via email. So this is the email I now got as the external party. This is the default email that's sent out by DocsAutomator. And then I can click on review and sign document. This now takes me to the signing page. We see that 0 of 2 parties have signed so far. So this is me now. And then this is the other party, also me. And now we can go to the signing fields. I can click on these convenient buttons here. And here we see the tags. So I enter my name. My name is Fort Prefect. And then I set the signing date. I say I agree to the terms, and then I add my signature. I can either draw it or type it in. I just type it in this case. So, and then I go on complete signing. Basically says once all parties have agreed, you receive a copy of this because in the end, a copy is distributed to the to all signing parties, except for when manual links are set up as we've seen before or selected. Then you're responsible yourself for distributing basically the final document, etc. Yeah, and we're now looking at the other side, basically. We get this email, for instance, where we have the signing progress. The signing progress I get as the account holder, basically, that is initiating the signing process. So the DocsAutomator account holder, basically. We can now see that one party has signed, as we've done so just now, and the other party is basically still pending. And that's also us, of course, which we do now. This is the email that we got, us as the other party. And I sign now as well. So I also go to the signing page, need to confirm the pop-up. We now see that one party has already signed, as we've done just now. And then I also we close this again, do this here as well. So I type my name, and then I add the sign date, and then my signature. There we go. If I now complete signing, we will see that all of this is going to be stored in Airtable. So I click on complete signing, and we will see that the signed DPA, and the signer name, and the signer date and the checkbox, all of this is now stored in Airtable. Basically, now you could, for instance, listen to the signed document to send it out further, or just be notified that all parties have signed, etc. Let's quickly look at this document as well. And we will now see that we have, if I zoom in a bit, basically all the signatures on here. And then we also have this, let me close these comments. Then we also have the a certificate page as the last page. And this is basically tracking the IP address from where it was signed, which browser was used, etc., etc. All things that are necessary for legal compliance in various regions in the EU, but also in the US. And you will find a page on our documentation showing you how legally compliant, or for what DocsAutomator can be used legally compliant for legally compliant signing. The last two things I want to show you are, first, the run history. You can go into your run history and you can basically see all the signing, the signing requests you still have open, all the ones that are completed. As we completed the one just now, we see this here. So you have like a full overview of every document you're about to sign on this run history page. Including the entire audit trail of when the document was opened, what was changed, etc., etc. So you find this in the run history on here, and you can filter this down by eSign only. The other thing I want to show you is the documentation for this. In our documentation, you find the DocsAutomator eSign page, and you also find our eSign API reference. So if you want to integrate this with other tools, or if you want to pull certain things, you can do this with the entire eSigning API here, where you can pull all the open sessions, you can pull the audit trail, and various things. So I hope this gave you an overview. I know it was a long video, but yeah, it's quite complex, and there's even more to it, stuff I will hopefully get into in the future, in future videos. If you have any questions, please reach out anytime. And for now, I wish you happy automating and speak to you very soon.